Hey there. So I'm going to be talking today about my September wrap-up and my October TBR. I'll be honest with you guys, I read pretty much nothing in September. I could blame that on the fact that I started school and that I've been busy and everything like that, but really, it was the fact that I had no self-control over starting and finishing books this month. Because I was reading multiple things at once and just not really focusing on finishing any one thing at one time, which is not great. But yeah, actually, I'm going to grab a book really quickly. Let's grab another book because I need to show you guys this one too, because I also kind of read it, but I didn't read all of it. But I'm going to talk about it anyway. So the books that I did read this month, well, these aren't books, but I read the third and fourth volume of Saga. So yeah, they were pretty cool. I liked them. Not going to talk too much about that because spoilers, but like 4 to 5 stars for both of them. I'm still enjoying Saga a lot. So yeah, I'm definitely going to continue with the series when I can read more or whatever. Yeah. The next thing, the only legitimate book I read in September was 1984 by George Orwell, and I didn't even technically finish this in September because I finished it October 1st. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to technically say I finished it in September. It's part of my September wrap-up because it's the only book I read in September. Well, it's not the only book I read in September, it's the only one I finished. But anyway, I want to do a review on this book because it's a classic, and when I was reading it, I was like, oh, there we go, there the book's in frame. When I was reading this book, I was like, it's very obviously a classic, just because of the way it's written and everything. This book, it like made me mad, and I also really loved it, but I also kind of hated it at the same time. I kind of want to do a review, but I also want to do kind of like a discussion on this book because I want to talk about more what I thought of this book, but like spoilery stuff. So I'm not going to talk much about it right now, but it's just yeah, 1984 is basically set. It's kind of like, so the government pretty much controls everything, and so the main character is named Winston Smith, I think. Yeah, that's his name. And he kind of starts having thoughts of like being rebellious or whatever, and he thinks he knows how to like rebel and kind of tear down the system of government that's in place right now. And yeah, and then there's like the thought police, which basically silence anybody who's being rebellious or anything like that. So he's kind of worried about that at some points, and other times, and then things happen, and the ending kind of made me mad, but it was also very well. It was still a really good ending, but it made me mad. But like, it made me mad because it didn't make me hate the book. I appreciate the ending. I just didn't like it, but I understand it, if that makes sense. I don't know. Probably didn't. In September, I also ended up kind of reading 3 other books, or at least partially reading them. I started reading Outlander by Diana Gabaldon, which I'm enjoying. It's a really good book, but it's so long. I'm only 200 pages into it, but it's like an 800-page book, and I was like, I can't only be reading this right now. I have to like read stuff in between it, and yeah. So I only got this book because I found it at a secondhand bookstore, and I was like, yeah, I'll pick it up. I've heard about it. Really like it. It's not something I normally read, but still really enjoying it. So maybe this month I might read a bit more of it. I don't know. I might end up forgetting about it, but yeah, maybe I'll read more. I don't know. Then another thing I started reading, I've already talked about this book because I made a video specifically on this book when I got it, but I started reading, or rereading, The Search for Wanla by Tony Diterlizzi, I think is his name, and I had read this book in grade 7. I had a copy of the book, and then it got lost. So I eventually was like, eventually one day I'm gonna order it, but then it never happened. But so I finally ordered it and I got it. And my favorite part about this book is the fact that it's signed right there, which is amazing. Yeah, this book is it's really good. So basically, okay, I'm just gonna, yeah, it's about this Evanine. I know who it's about. I'm looking at the summary because I don't know how to explain things. But anyway, yeah. So Evanine, who lives in a sanctuary underground, and is kind of training to go up to the surface of Earth, and then kind of she's like 12 years old, I think, and then one day explosion happens, and she has to leave her home and venture out into the world, but it's not what she expects, and it's basically that. It's got like really good, like I want to find the first picture, just because I don't know, pictures could be technically spoilers. That's a picture from that's one of the first pictures in the book, and this book has just really good illustrations, and I like the way it's written. I'll compare it to another book. I don't know, I think I could probably talk about this more in depth. I could actually probably have a whole video on this, the topic of like middle grade books and the way they're written, because I tried to read another middle grade book this month called, it was part of a Vampire series by Justin Somper, and I had read the first 2 books when I was in junior high, but I stopped reading it, so I was like, I'll pick up the 3rd book from the library. I'll read it, it'll be good, and then it's from the library. I don't have to worry about it, because I won't buy it, I don't have to worry about it being like a waste of my time or anything. I got not even a chapter into it, and I was like, I'm not reading this anymore, because it just, it wasn't written well enough for me to care, but like this book, this is written well enough for me to care. Like, this is in middle grade, but I still can get into the story, I still care about it, even though I've already read it. I really want to finish rereading this, because I'm like about 100 pages into it, but then I put it aside because I was like, I really need to actually finish a book this month. So then I started focusing on 1984, but yeah. Anyway, eventually I'm finishing this book. Hopefully I'll finish it this month. I'll read it at some point. Finish it. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to talk about another 2 books that I want to read in October, because it's like Halloween. It's Halloween, guys. It's Halloween right now. I'm so excited. It's Halloween. I don't even care. You do not tell me October 31st is Halloween. It is October. It's Halloween, obviously. So, I've decided to read something a bit spooky, or not really spooky. It's not really spooky, but it's kind of in the creepy kind of category. So I'm reading Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, and I know the disc cover's not on this. I'm not going to find it because I'm lazy. And then also Hollow City, a second book in Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. And this series is by Ransom Riggs. I knew that, but I was just checking. But yeah, so I'm going to read the first 2 books, hopefully, in this series this month. There we go. Yeah. Because I figured they got a bit of a spooky theme to them. It's October. I gotta do it. Gotta have some spooky books in October. So, yeah, I'm about 100 pages into the books. The first book. This one. And I'm really enjoying it so far. I like it. It's a fairly easy read, which is nice. Considering 1984 was not, like, too difficult to read, but it was like you had to think about it a lot more than something like this. Obviously, because this 1984 is a classic, and so this is just a good, nice change of pace, kind of, and I'm really enjoying the story. So I don't know how to explain the story. Okay, so I don't know if you don't know what Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, what that story is about. It's like about this boy, and his grandfather has basically told him a bunch of stories about when he was growing up, and he lived in this home with like really extraordinary children, like who could levitate or were invisible or things like that. And then things happen, and the boy actually ends up the grandson. Um, things happen, and he gets more interested in his grandfather's stories. Basically, that's all I'm saying. I'm trying not to be spoilery. I'm sorry if I'm spoilery. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't like spoilers. I know, guys. It's horrible. But yeah, I kind of went into this book with a slight idea of what it was about, but not much. And it's different than what I thought it was going to be, but I still really like it. It's got like pictures and stuff in it, so it's like really cool. But it's like, okay, I'm gonna find one just because, like, it's got pictures like this. See that? Yeah, which I thought was pretty cool. So there's, I don't know what this was, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, I figured I should do my TBR or and September wrap up, seeing as it's October 6th now. So anyway, that's done. I'm sorry if it was rambly and incoherent or whatever, but whatever. Yeah, so hopefully I'll get to read more this month, or no, I shouldn't say that. I'm going to read more this month because the only person depending on if I read more is me. Like, I just need to set time aside to read and also do homework because that's important. Because university, guys, so great. Anyway, yeah, I will read more this month. Or at least read a full book without setting it aside and starting something else. That was a problem. That was a bit of a problem. At one point, I was reading like 4 books at once, which is a little much. Anyway, see you guys later. Bye.